Hadoop being shaped by real-time?
Well, I think real-time is a trend, is an area that we've been lacking in. We classically started this with a batch computing system, MapReduce, that Google published their paper in around 2003, and we developed the open source implementation that's in Hadoop. And it's proven very useful. We've got a lot of applications based on it. But there's obviously applications which need to have faster access to their data. The HBase system is developed to partly address that, the online key value store that's part of the Hadoop stack. But we need more than that. Today, Cloudera announced Impala, which is a real-time SQL search engine, which takes us a lot further. And I think we'll see continuing steps towards more online computations in the Hadoop stack.
Do you think that real-time is eventually going to become the default? That's the assumption that people are going to have, that the information they have is up to the moment?
No, quite the contrary. I think batch has its place. If you're moving, bulk amounts of data, and you need to really analyze everything, or perform some sort of significant computation, that's not something that's interactive.
Right.
That's inherently a batch process. I actually think the success of HBase is that it works well both with interactive and batch computation.
Right.
That one can do a bulk load into HBase with a MapReduce job. One can do an analysis of an HBase table with a MapReduce job. So that this combination of batch and online computation, I think, is what people really appreciate.
Being able to have the option, right?
Have the option, and without copying their data to a new store, to have both of them in the same system, interoperating easily. So you can have a real-time thing at the same time as you're doing a bulk thing.
Sure.
And pair those well.
Why do you think Hadoop has caught on like it has? I mean, what are the factors to its growth?
I think there's a couple of trends. One obvious one is Moore's Law. People can afford to have massive amounts of computation and storage. The price has dropped precipitously for 30 years or more with Moore's Law, and we don't see that changing anytime soon. On top of that, people have found that it's useful to have more data. You look at the companies that are growing, the sectors of the economy that are growing the fastest, and those are the ones that are using more data, that are automating themselves more. Mark Andreessen likes to say that software is eating the world, which I think is really about this effect, that the efficiencies that we're gaining economically, the improvements in productivity are in large part due to more data being present, and that trend's going to continue as well. You think about the data that a business generates. In a lot of ways, it is the business. I mean, it's a record of what that company has done, what that business has done, and how better to improve yourself, but to actually see yourself first. I don't see any of the trends underlying this diminishing anytime soon.
So related to that, and the last question I have for you, how do you see Hadoop maturing over the next 2 years or so? What are the things we should be watching for?
Google's always a useful barometer. They've led the ecosystem for quite some time, publishing a series of papers. This year they published a paper called Spanner, which I think is tells a lot about where we can go. To some degree, it tells me that the sky's the limit. Some of the hard problems that wasn't clear you could solve in this space, they've really begun to address. Having transactions that are over multiple tables in a globally distributed database is a pretty impressive piece of work. And those sorts of things I think will come to the Hadoop stack in time. So I really see Hadoop becoming the kernel of the mainstream data processing system that enterprises will be using in the future.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate you taking the time.
You're very welcome.